They make teammates panic and coaches worry. Let's talk about the current NBA's worst defenders. Russell Westbrook. Westbrook's defense is a phony effort. If you watch him for 2 or 3 games, he may seem like he's trying hard on defense, but if you watch a quarter or two, he's a defensive nightmare. Westbrook receives a lot of flack for his offensive shooting efficiency and bad judgment, but it's his defense offenses that should earn him a first-class trip to basketball purgatory. Why? Because although it's acceptable to make a mistake and miss a shot, some of his defensive shortcomings result from a complete lack of concentration or attempt. Westbrook frequently ignores his defensive responsibilities and simply stands on the court and watches a play unfold without giving it a second thought. After a turnover, Russ jogs back to defense instead of rushing back and gets hammered on screens and doesn't fight back to help the opposing guard, leaving the defense scrambling to hide his blunders. Fake hustling plays disgust Laker fans. Russ will leave a player free and rush in his general vicinity with his hands up, even though he's at least 6 feet away and has little chance of blocking the shot. The Lakers had the greatest defense in the NBA in 2021. While playing for coach Frank Vogel, they finished 3rd in defensive rating in 2020. One of the top defensive defenders in the league, Alex Caruso, was foolishly dealt away in 2020 to create a place for Russ. With the same coach, the outcome was that they only had a 21st place defensive rating. To be fair, it's partly a result of the defensively inept signing of old geezers and the injuries to LeBron and Anthony Davis. DeAndre Jordan is a walking corpse and should no longer play NBA basketball. Carmelo Anthony is great to watch on offense, but for every basket he scores, he gives one up. The Lakers' defensive point guard is overblown, pricey, and irresponsible. Melo can't defend a chair anymore because he's a weak defender. Replacing Caruso's actual hustle with false hustle was one of the worst team mistakes in recent history. Domantas Sabonis can rebound, post rating, and distribute. Though he's one of the NBA's poorest rim protectors, he's a 2-time All-Star, owning to his scoring efficiency. Sabonis hates verticality and rapid feeds, and he couldn't guard the basketball even if his life depended on it. As a center, Domas averages 4 blocks per game. When he's with the Pacers, Indiana allowed 107 scores per 100 plays, a top 10 defense, primarily due to Miles Turner, the game's finest shot defender. The Pacers' 4th worst defense surrendered 113 scores per 100 attempts with Sabonis on the court without Turner. While Sabonis is tough and excellent at defending the post against heavy centers, rim guarding and the ability to change and choose and roll are the most crucial defensive characteristics in modern basketball, and he doesn't score high in any of those categories. Other centers are poor rim defenders as well. Jonas Valanciunas, Enes Kanter, Cody Zeller, Tristan Thompson, Nikola Jokic, and Vucevic are among them. Jordan Clarkson and Rudy Gobert are the best defensive centers of the last decade with 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Rudy's nickname is still the Stifle Tower because he can hold himself to both the roller and the ball carrier in the pick and roll game with his incredible length and movement in a 7'2" frame. The Jazz's terrible team defense made Rudy Gobert look dumb and question his defensive ability. This is unjust to Gobert because Utah leaked like a Titanic once the iceberg hit and Rudy couldn't save them. The Jazz's defensive wings couldn't guard anyone one-on-one, and opponents regularly got through them like high school students. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Donovan Mitchell, and Bojan Bogdanovic contributed to Utah's defensive issues. A ball swing, a screen, or a jump would completely distract Utah's defense, forcing Gobert to pick between a dunk and a 3-pointer. Rudy automatically closed out the paint to prevent the dunk, which led to the Mavericks making 17 uncontested threes in Game 2 of the playoffs, which was an NBA record. Utah's defense went from average to historically bad without Gobert. Some blame Clarkson, although Mitchell could have been the real culprit. Spider is a big star with the physical tools to be a great defender, but he fails to deliver. Jalen Green. Jalen Green is an NBA talent. He was the 2nd choice in the 2021 NBA draft and as a rookie, averaged 17 points per game. Green can beat most defenders and shoot well, but if Jalen's scoring is great and his passing is poor, then his defense is awful. Most guard wings can outmuscle Green. His defensive knowledge, comprehension, and performance are terrible. Houston's rookie had the team's worst defensive rating in 2020 and the second worst rating of players with over 2,000 minutes. Jalen's rivals made 54% of their shots, 8% more than their average, which was again the worst mark in the NBA. But he was a rookie on a young Rockets club that was tanking with the second lowest defensive rating in 2022. Because the Rockets were so bad offensively, Green will muscle up and gain knowledge. Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker's premier defense was poor. He's 6 feet, 180 pounds. And after several knee problems and diminished mobility, his defense makes him practically unplayable. In 2022, the Knicks benched 32-year-old Kemba, an all-star in 2020. Walker will finish his deal in Detroit, and we're worried he'll wind up like Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was another small guard who lost his NBA spot after injuries limited his movement and showed his defensive weaknesses. DJ Augustine, Patty Mills, Bryn Forbes, and Seth Curry are some other short guards with defensive issues. You know, BallFlix is a great defender of the bridge as well, so what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and smash that like button so we can defend you as well. Now let's continue as we take things to another level. Anthony Simmons. Anthony Simmons was the NBA's worst defender in 2022, according to most advanced defensive abilities. He's last in all of these categories, and the eye test verifies it. Simmons is among the smallest point guards in the NBA, and his slender build doesn't offer much protection against dribble penetration. Portland's coaches disguise his flaws on defense by assigning him to guard the corner three, but Simmons typically watches the play instead of his man. The Blazers gave the rookie guard a $100 million contract extension after his offensive explosion last season. In 2023, Anthony Simmons and Damian Lillard, who never played defense, will split backcourt minutes. The Blazers noticed this and signed athletic wings like Gary Payton Jr. and Jeremy Grant. Portland had the worst defense in the NBA in 2022. Simmons and Lillard must work harder to improve it. Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans has been an NBA big man with great shooting since 2016. He got a good contract from the Wizards by shooting, but he's a disaster on defense. Bertans is tall yet weak, therefore larger players can bully him. The Latvian shooter is slow and often loses track of his target. Davis's slow feet and poor closeout leave players open for three and fans asking why he makes $16 million per season. Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant is the proper size and length for a modern big man, standing 6'10", 250 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan. Yet his position as a rim defender, rebounder, and inside anchor is rarely noticed. The new Lakers center is aggressive. He's a good fantasy basketball choice due to his 60% scoring defense, but he's a terrible defender. After tearing his ACL in January 2021, the Wizards center played just 27 games in 2022, and his defense declined even further. Despite the Lakers having Bryant, Thomas is no Kobe, so Lakers fans shouldn't expect much. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield has the poorest defensive rating in the NBA. The scoring average is not the best indicator of defensive qualities because it primarily depends on teammates. If prime Michael Jordan played NBA basketball alongside Kevin Hart and Tom Cruise, their team would yield a lot of points, and MJ would have a poor defensive rating because he shared minutes with 5-foot actors. NBA attacks are efficient. Attacking players are more guarded than ever, making it tougher to play excellent defense and difficult to assess individually. Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez was named the worst defensive center in 2018 by ESPN's actual plus-minus. Lopez placed third in the NBA by the same statistic 2 seasons later with a new club and defensive strategy. He made the all-defensive team and helped the Bucks have one of the team's best defenses. Good defense requires teammates, matchups, coverages, and awareness. The dirty secret is that no metric can quantify good defense. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was a great NBA defender, a lunatic at interrupting offenses, fighting for the post, and stopping dribbling movement. Rodman averages fewer steals and blocks per game, Allen Iverson led the NBA in steals 3 times by gambling and leaping into passing lanes. Iverson's gambles sometimes worked, but more often they failed, leaving a huge hole in the defense and an easy basket. Traditional and advanced numbers can reveal a defense's production, but they're not perfect. Now that we've established that expensive influence is hard to assess, let's get back to Buddy Hield, who wasn't the worst defender in NBA history, but he wasn't a terrific defensive stopper either. While Hield does a respectable job of guarding the three-point line, he frequently lets his man get past him on the outside, giving them a clear path to the basket and an easy score.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.